Hello, we are we are live. Hello, and welcome to the first live stream on this channel. Hopefully, there's going to be absolutely many more. Um, how this is going to work is there's going to be a me talking about the subject and for around half an hour or so, and then I will open up the board for any questions, whether it's about the subject or any other questions. And if you're watching this on a replay, then please do leave a comment because I do read them and I'll answer your question if I can in the comments below. So yeah, just say hi if you're here. Nice to know who's here. Um, around a couple months ago, what happened was I picked up a very nice copy of The Wind in the Willows, one of my favorite books. And it was in that I then started reading it. And I realized that there was. Hello. Sorry, I'll just repeat that for this person. So, about a month ago, I bought myself a nice copy of The Wind in the Willows and began reading it. And it was during that I realized there are two ways of looking at this novel. There's the way of looking at it as a children's tale of a couple animals getting into wacky hijinks. Or there's the more logical way of looking at it, which is the story of morals and listening to your peers. And that's why Mr. Toad stuck out to me as a bit of bit of a character. Because he to put it bluntly, he stuck out to me as a bit of a narcissistical, dim-witted moron who went from one infatuation to the next without any care for the people around him. Now, there was reading this, I'll repeat the story of Mr. Toad so you can get a bit of a better understanding of him. So first off, he meets, so Mole and Ratty go to Toad Hall, and in that they meet Mr. Toad, who tells them about his new gypsy caravan, who they then take it out on a little journey. Now that's not too bad. It's slow, it's nice, it's wonderful. And but the problem is the cart gets knocked over on its journey by a motor car, and it's Mr. Toad is then just all in on motor cars. That's all he loves, and he buys loads of them, and he keeps crashing them. And there's a good quote where he says, where Badger says, "How many has he had?" And Ratty says, "Oh, what crashes or cars? Because they're the same to him. He's had that amount." And so nothing really fixes with Toad, and they try to make him stop. They constantly are trying to say to Toad, "You've got to stop this. You've got to get your head because you're tormenting everyone around you and you're causing everyone to get a bad name in the neighborhood." And so in this, he doesn't listen, and this is what annoys me. Is Toad doesn't listen. He carries on. And in the end, they get Badger. They go into the wildwood and get Badger because Badger is a kind-hearted man, but he's strict when he needs to be, and he's the only one that can sort him out. And so they get Badger to come over and talk to Toad, and he does. He sits him down and says, "No, that didn't work." He's still car mad. So he then takes him off into the library alone, and as Ratty and Mole are sitting outside, they can just hear inside these screams of Mole begging, sorry, Mole, Toad begging, saying, "Please just let it end. I'll never touch a car again." And then the moment he leaves the library, he's back to his old antics, driving cars and breaking promises. And so then they lock him in his room. So he will be locked there until he is, you know, sane again. And so they do, but he escapes from his room and is back driving cars and crashing them all over until he gets arrested. And this is the big turning point in the story. He gets arrested. And even then, the maid in the prison tries to help Toad, tries to break him free, dress him up as a washer lady to sneak him out. But even then, he is horrible to her, but she still helps him, doesn't get a word of thanks. And so, and then he escapes prison and takes back Toad Hall. And don't forget, during this time he was in prison, the weasels took Toad Hall. And so it wasn't Toad who actually fought back for Toad Hall. He just hung from a chandelier. It was actually his friends who fought to win back Toad Hall. And so after all of this, you might have thought he's learnt his lesson. But nope. The last scene in the book is everyone sitting on the riverbank and Toad flying over in a plane and crashing. Now, again, this is a children's story. It's light-hearted, and it's, oh, there's Toad back to his old antics. But my big problem with it is that he doesn't learn a lesson. Toad never learns his lesson. He just carries on and crashes planes and crashes cars. He never learns from it. There's no repercussions. His friends try to wean him in a direction of good. When that doesn't work, they use more force, and when that doesn't work, he gets arrested and he doesn't learn his lesson anywhere in the story. And this is the annoying and just very annoying part of the tale, because he never grows responsibility. And in growing responsibility, he learns meaning. Because responsibility and meaning are the same thing. You can't have one without the other. To have meaning, you have to have a responsibility to find said meaning. To have responsibility, you need a meaning for the responsibility, that one cannot live without the other. And you'll find naturally that they follow after each other. But there's nothing. Everyone tries to help him, but there's nothing. And I wish to state that I have a friend like this. I'm not going to name names because he is a dear friend of mine, but he blames everything but himself. Everything. If his day is going bad, your day has to go bad as well. If there is a little turn in his day, it has to be a turn in your day. And and at the start of the year, he will state, "I want to do better," which is great. But then he goes back on his promises and back to his old antics, and then blames everyone else for his downfall, because he's doesn't really have that much. So instead of trying to, in his spare time, find and work, because he has a phone nowadays, everything can be done from a phone, so he can be earning money from a phone, but he doesn't. Instead, he just sits around and then blames his misgivings on everyone else and expects everyone else to pick up the pieces for him. And then his friends come along and state, but we're here for you. We can help you. We can help you make money. We can help you make a name for yourself and exceed in your academic studies." And he won't listen. And that is a lot like Mr. Toad. And this is the reason why I wanted to do this live stream, is because Mr. Toad is just like a lot of people that humans know. And I've noticed that in every friend group or in every family, everyone has a Mr. Toad, a character who never learns from their mistakes and regards everything else as everyone else's fault, not theirs. And then this got me thinking into broader aspects, not just friend groups. And one of these broader aspects was politics. Just one moment. Bugger, that was a spider. Sorry, I have a huge fear of them. There we go. He won't be bothering me anymore. I hate spiders. Sorry. In politics, there is a lot of Mr. Toads. There is people who will blame the working class for the downfall in the UK right now. Especially, we have this economic crisis with the pound, and they're blaming the rich are blaming the working class, and the working class are blaming the rich. Who's to blame? Everyone. Everyone's to blame. I'm to blame as well. I buy things a lot without even considering. I could be giving to a food bank charity. That's helping the economy, but no, I spend it on myself. But also the poor have something, because they keep moaning about not having enough heating. Well, there's other ways around heating. There's blankets, there's jumpers. If you bundle up on them, you can save yourself a lot of money and a lot of toil. Now, I'm not going to do the old, if you don't buy Netflix or if you don't buy avocados, you should be able to afford it, because that's no statistic ever has proven that. And with the price of Netflix, no, that it's wrong to state that. They're two consequentially different things. And so you can't compare the two. Okay? So I'm not going to go there for a start. But there is the question of, how do we break these toads? How do we become the friend who reinstates a sphere of sensible thought into their brain? Because Badger tries this but fails. Everyone else tries it but fails. And Toad is back to his old antics. There must be a way to get the toads that we know to become suitable members of society. And I've thought about this for the past week while on the bus between and from college. And I thought about it today because I had a few friends over. And we were discussing this, and I've been able to list up quite a few things, and a few of those things were, of course, responsibility is equal to meaning. If you hardwire that into their brain, it becomes a lot easier. And there is, of course, the old saying, and this isn't an exact quote. It's from an Arab prince, and he said, "I drive a Lamborghini, my son will drive a Lamborghini, and my grandson will drive a donkey," stating that his grandson will grow up just not even appreciating the things he has, not knowing where it comes from because he's born into riches. But this Arab prince came from poverty and went in, so he appreciates it. And so, without appreciation, you lose things. If he was never appreciative, he doesn't know how to manage his money, doesn't know how to manage the economy, and doesn't manage a government, and he will lose everything. and so he will be riding a donkey. And this is the same with Mr. Toad. He doesn't appreciate where his things came from because his father was a very noble frog, a very, very well-to-do frog, toad, sorry, who had this amazing air around him. And it was that Toad just grew up with everything handed to him. And so he never appreciates, like, these cars that he is breaking. He never appreciates how much work actually went into building that car, how many people had to work on that car, and how much taxpayer money he spent on each car. And so he loses it and never appreciates his worth. And secondly, there's no self-blame, and this again comes back to modern day politics, especially with TikTok. I've noticed there's a lot of narcissism on there and no self-blame. You hear so much about self-love and mental health, but you also have to remember that there has to be a yin to a yang. So for every self-love, there has to be a self-hate. And yes, there are excessive self-hate in which the person just hates for some odd reason they hate themselves. And that's not good. That needs to be treated. But there is also good self-hate. When you realize that in a conversation you might have done something wrong and say, you know what, I've done something wrong, move on. Learn from that mistake. But people will always now state, no, 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 I need to love myself. And by that, I need to blame everyone else around me. And so they do. They say, no, 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 I was good in that conversation. It was the other person who led me in that direction. And they'll play it millions of different ways to make themselves the protagonist and them the antagonist. But either way, there needs to be some self-hate. You need to bring rules in for yourself, whether you like them or not. Grounded rules. You are not always right. A human is not always right, and that has to be stated so many times. Because you notice that if someone didn't have a good meal, okay, and then went back to the restaurant and had another bad meal, it's not their fault that they had two bad meals, okay, or the fact that they decided to go back to a place they don't like. They blame everyone else. They blame the servers, blame the chefs, which technically the chefs are to blame. But they never once say, you know what, I didn't like it the first time. What made me think I should go back? And that is this type of narcissism that comes into the world. And this is what we need to just get rid of. Now, that was really just a small talk on the Mr. Toad thing, but there was a last thing that I want to state, which is, so I've stated the story of these types of people, the story which is a how you can help these people and how we can recognize these people in real life. And now I want to finish it off with, what if these people don't take your advice and you try everything? First off, get rid of them. Simple as. It sounds really harsh, but get rid of them. They're chaff. That's it. They are dragging you down. If you feel like you are babysitting this person and you are telling them everything, giving them every piece of advice, in layman's terms, you're throwing them every bone that you can give them, and they're still not taking it and blame everyone else, especially you. If they're blaming you for their misdeeds, even though you've tried to help them so many times, get rid of them. Shove them out of your life. Shut them off. Let them do their own mistakes, just like they do with Mr. Toad. They said, you know what? We've done as much as we can. If he wants to go to prison, Let him do that. And this is where I have to state this. In the story, they still try to save Mr. Toad from prison and then try to save his house from the weasels. But why? Why they had no reason to do that because it was his own misdeeds that caused that. So in simple, just get rid of them. Don't weigh yourself down because you can succeed so much more if you get rid of them. And just stop worrying about trying to make everyone else better. Just trying to make yourself better. Just remember that. Just every day trying to make yourself better. Look at what you're doing, say, what's one thing I can improve on, and improve that one thing, whether it be, I don't know, don't pick your nose. Just don't do that for one day and improve on that. And each day improve and keep these habits. Say, I don't write as much as I do. One day, just sit down and write. And then the next day, just write a bit more, write a bit more. And then you keep these habits. And so now I have finished this small rant. And I open up the board for questions. Have any questions regarding um, this little lecture or anything else? Just put them in the comments below. Check the other chat. Yeah. And a little bit more into the mindset. So with we all know that one child who was given everything in life and they don't know the value of money or of other people's well-being, and they just tread over everything and don't take any regard. They just buy things without any regard for how much it actually costs. That's the mentality Mr. Toad has. Because in the book, it's stated that Badger knew Toad's father quite well, and he was a very noble toad. And then, if you watch the animation movie, which I recommend, I'll drop that in the description below. Um, if you watch the animation, there are pictures, and Mr. Toad, father, Mr. Toad Senior, has very noble, very stature. And then you see Little Toad just playing and being rambunctious and just being altogether horrible child, breaking things and never being told no. And it was that where he was just handed everything. I want this, he gets it. I want this, he gets it. He has no regard for anyone else's beliefs because, again, in this type of household, he was always told, you can do whatever you want. No one's going to tell you no. And if he had an idea, it's the best idea to ever come. And so he breaks a gypsy caravan. Doesn't matter. He doesn't want to get it fixed. He just then sees a motor car, goes with it, and he loves motor cars now. And then he breaks a motor car. So what? He buys another one. He breaks another motor car, buys another one. To the point of he even just goes up to a man on the street and steals his car because he has no regard for anyone's feelings. And this is the type of mentality that Mr. Toad has. And we all know, I bet you're thinking there right now, I know someone like that who just treads on everyone that tries to help them. And this is the thing, Badger was not shouting at Mr. Toad. because he was angry. He does it because he wanted to try and help him. And that is the mentality. Any more questions? The the floor is open. If not, ah, yes, that's exactly what it is. That is precisely the reason. He was brought up without any regard and never got told no. Again, any more questions? I'm happy to answer them. I've got all evening. And they can be questions about the lecture or anything else. If there are no more questions, then I will end the stream here and hopefully start a new one sometime soon. Please do share this channel with friends and family. Get as many people there as you can. It's a really nice place. I just want to finish this by saying that I know I haven't posted any lecture videos in a while, and that's simply due to because I have a new computer, and as computers are, they're an absolute bastard to get up and running and sorted with everything it needs. And so that's taken a while. But as you can see right now, I have my computer up and running, hence I'm able to do this. And I've now re-downloaded my editorial software and I've edited the first half of the video. So hopefully by next Friday, the video will be up on YouTube for everyone to watch and to enjoy. And a little sneak peek, it's about the importance of literature, most specifically Russian literature, and how it can tell us how to avoid turmoils in the past. So with that, I end the live stream here and I bid you all good night, or good morning, good afternoon, whenever you're watching this from. Bye.